各位贵宾、各位与谈者，我想刚才各位听得非常有兴趣，非常的内容，而且给大家很多 inspiring 的很多想法。那现在我们开始进入与谈时间。如果各位等一下有问题的话，也可以提交给司仪，交给我哈。那我们开始来这与谈时间。那首先我在这里来请教我们这个艾伟先生啊，他在台湾Mr. Elver， 我请教一个问题啊，你喂 OK，Yes all right。您在台湾工作这一段时间也参与非常多的这个风力机大型风力机的一个发电的这个工作。那么你觉得台湾现在这个推行这个，如果我要讲，请你回答说哪3件事情你认为是最重要的，而且很快的可以让这个风力发电机、大型发电机在台湾成功？哪3件事情是 Top 3最重要的 agenda？
Now, being 3 years in Taiwan and spending quite a lot of time to support this industry and experiencing a couple of things, I also try to address during my presentation. Now, I believe the decisions and the initiatives taken by government are quite good. But the approval process, from my point of view, takes quite long. This is the one topic, at least I would like to see as one of the 3 things I would like to change. Another thing is, those companies, the developers, they are in fact a kind of startup companies. And to setting up wind farms, they need financing. And this is one of the major difficulties I see by the developers. And I'm also happy to hear that Eugene was pointing to Siemens, but it's not me. My customers, the developers, they need the money. And I'm happy to link you, Eugene, with them and see whether we can help them. Because according to the grant scheme, those 3 companies have to set up 100 megawatt wind farm, but first they have to start with the 2. And for those 2, the business case is not positive. Therefore, financing them is not easy. And so they need help. And that was also one of my, let's say, requests to the government. If the banks, the private sector cannot help them, then the government has to jump in and help. The third thing is be more aggressive. The plan of the government to deploying around 4 gigawatt up to 2030, when I'm correct, is good, because you have the resources. The Taiwan Strait is one of the best places in the world, as I have explained in my presentation, where you can set up offshore wind farms. But be fast, don't wait too long, because every day the wind is blowing for free. And we can utilize these resources and also ease a little the problem we are having with the energy supply here in Taiwan. We don't have, in fact, enough capacity, and we have to be fast to deploying offshore wind farm.
OK， 那么我会请教陆先生一个问题啊，因为刚才2位先生都提到所谓财务的问题啊。那么有一位这个我们的朋友他问这个问题，他说现在价钱是6万块钱了，这个大家觉得还是价钱有点高了，他为什么不开始稍微便宜一点？比如说在大陆能打造一个2万块钱左右的这个摩托车会好一点，是不是这样会比较快一点？是。
Well， 一分钱一分货，我学的这个，我在台湾学的这个字。You know, it's really important in transportation to do something that is of high quality, high safety, and high performance. You know, they're untradeable consequences if you don't do it right. Is very important. You know, if you look at our neighboring China, of course, there's a lot of what they call e-bikes, but those e-bikes unfortunately don't provide the safety or the quality. Oftentimes, similar to, I would say, Siemens turbine. You can probably find a lot cheaper turbines, but they probably wouldn't last as long. You have to service it more often. They might even be dangerous. Similar, I think, they're a broad range of vehicle. And what we're proud of is we're proud of providing the safest and the highest quality and the most innovative product when comparing to competitors. That's the most important thing. It's to make sure that public safety, the consumers get what they really deserve, which is the best product on earth. And that's the only way you can make change. If you do it with second-class product, you will never make change. It will end up costing way more than what money can buy.
好，谢谢。那下一个问题啊，还是要到 Siemens 来的问题啊。刚才这个我们艾伟先生谈到很多风力发电的好处啊，那么也有不少人反对啊。那么反对的原因，我想这个艾伟先生也了解。你对这些反对者的问题怎么样去处理他们？比如说反对，比如说环保啊等等这些反对者。
Well, now we talk today very much about the offshore, and this is one of the advantages of offshore, that you have, in fact, plenty of spaces. By the onshore, yes, I know there are discussions. There are, especially from the people living near to the wind turbines, certain concerns which are not always, let's say, justified. But if you talk about offshore, you have less issues regarding the noise, respectively regarding the space. So this is something which we have to consider. Yes, there are discussions with the fisheries, but there are also solutions. I know from one of my developers, it was one of the first things he has solved. And also there is, I think, mutual agreement between the developers and the fisheries, how they can cope with the challenge during the implementation time if the wind turbines are about to set up, what happens. So again, there are always solutions, and we still believe that the advantages of wind energy is always the disadvantages where some people are raising their concerns regarding, again, space, respectively, the noise issues.
好，那个下一个问题啊，这个因为这个问题很大了哈，这个刚才这个Eugene也谈到这个问题，那是不是可以从Eugene回答这个问题，就是说，在台湾怎么样有方式有更多的这个绿色投资到台湾来，这些基金能够到台湾来。那我加一点解释一下，因为台湾是一个以中小企业为主的国家，那么从大的基金啊，从刚才讲 Level 1一直到 Level 5的话，一直这样下来的投资的话，那么台湾其实有很多的节能减碳的这些公司做得非常成功，他们也非常需要多的这些基金的投资。它不一定要很大量的投资，那这些投资国外的基金怎么样引进到台湾来？不晓得你有什么意见没有？
Wow, that's a very difficult question. And it's difficult because money is a strange thing. It's easy to put large amounts of money to work. Investing big amounts is much easier than investing small amounts. So to do a 300 megawatt project on wind with great companies like Siemens and developers that work with Siemens, that is easy. But when you are dealing with very small companies you've never heard of, then it becomes much more difficult. And one of the advantages of having many good small companies like Taiwan is that it allows for new products, new innovations, and very interesting technologies to come through. But unfortunately, to get recognition and to get the money is a much harder thing. So what do we need? We need the local financial community to become much more active. Okay, so to be honest, I never heard of Gogoro until this afternoon. Okay, but wow, what a great company. Okay, so you know, and I only live 2.5 hours flight away from here. Okay, the thing is that his company has to become familiar with the venture capitalists, with the private equity, with the investors in this region. Then they will get together with people like Fred, who has money from other places, and contact global pockets of money. So it is a large chain, as I'm sorry my answer is a little bit long, but I think we have to get all of the financial plumbing in place. Otherwise, it kind of stops and you get leakages into other areas. So it starts with having great companies, which I think Taiwan has in abundance. And then you need to grow very good venture capital and financial community here. I think it's happening. I've spoken to some people. And to link that with the global pools of money will not be that difficult. So I think it's going to happen soon.
好，谢谢。大家对 Gogoro 还是很有兴趣啊，还是 Gogoro 的问题啊。那么Gogoro 可以减少刚才如你所说二氧化碳的排放啊，但实际上讲，也有不少人提到，就是说二氧化碳排放从这个 Gogoro 上减少，但是因为它取得台电的电源呢，是用这个化石燃料去所生产的，因此呢，这个其实并没有真的减那么多啊。所以呢，如果真的要减少的时候，它有个问题说，将来这个 Gogoro 是不是有兴趣一起来参加揭露这些企业组织碳排放的产品的生命周期啊？其实大家一起参与这工作，请其他公司大家一起来减少碳排放，那么相当程度也 push 这个发電廠去減少碳排放，这是一个问题哦，请回答一下。
I think you can break down the problem, and if you're trying to boil the ocean all at the same time, it will never boil. But what you need to do is you need to attack the problem in a short term, a medium term, and a long term way. And for us, we're passionate about the immediate problem of your living circle's health condition. Every day when you go around Taipei, you'll feel, and you probably land here and you probably felt, wow, it smells different in Taipei. And it smells different in Taipei, not in a good way, not because all the great food is in Taipei, but because of all the exhaust pipe spewing toxic gases into your face every day. Now, agreed that ultimately it could be a lot better in the potential solution by changing the way that we create energy. The biggest challenge with sustainable energy today is that when you want the energy is not available. And when you don't want the energy is available. And that's one of the great things about having batteries, is that batteries can store and time shift energy into time in which the demand will be there. And we can store and acquire the energy when the surplus is there. So in the medium term, we can do that. So in the short term, we get rid of tailpipes, and then moving all the tailpipes off to the scrubbers and off to the power plant. And it's much easier to control and clean one big scrubber than it is to control 2 million tailpipes around your neighborhood. So that's a short-term solution. Medium-term solution is that we do want to time shift energy. We want to take energy when energy is in abundance, and then when energy is in low demand, then we distribute energy. That would be a medium-term solution. And for a long-term solution, I do believe, for example, a friend here handed me the tidal, a brochure on tidal energy creation. There's many ways in which we can create energy, especially in the Taiwan, Strait. This is a perfect location to create alternative energy. Unfortunately, there hasn't been investment, hasn't been attention, or hasn't been even efforts in trying to do it. And we need to do more of that. And this is a perfect location, given our locality, to create sustainable energy. That hopefully is a long-term solution, and we can see that, in the next, decade or 2 decades as we move forward and have, more demand on alternative energy other than gasoline.
好，我们艾伟先生有一点补充，请他写一下。
I would like to link your products with our products. In fact, it is true. If you burn coal to fill your batteries, it is not the most environmental friendly one. But if we use the wind, and as you said, it is you don't need always the energy generated by wind. We can use your batteries as storage. And by the way, that is the future. In future, we will have systems which will link those two units. We will generate energy, and if there is no need, we will load all the batteries of Gogoro company. I have seen you have 85 today, and it will be more. And we will need all those offshore and also the onshore wind farms to fill all those batteries. It means in future, we can live without burning coal and other stuff to use the battery power, again, by utilizing the green energy.
好，我们现在请 Fred 回答一些问题啊。刚才因为有关那个投资的问题，等一下如果有空了就回答。所以说，台湾的这些比较中小企业怎么样？像你刚才的简报里面有提到，你帮助有一些公司在大陆做个投资，后来很成功，这个的 case 类似这样，台湾类似的公司还蛮多的。你有什么 idea 没有
Okay, if I may also first address the question that you posed to Gogoro, and of course, a company like them can start short-term addressing the problem. For us, we also look for solutions where you're emitting the CO2 from the coal-fired power plants. So just recently, I came back from the United States and found a company in Texas that is capturing the CO2 out of a coal-fired power plant. And in the United States, there aren't as many coal-fired power plants as there are in China. So to bring this technology to China would make a huge difference. But this company, for the last 3 years, has been going on their own to China. Their investors are GE, British Petroleum, ConocoPhillips, and some of the biggest companies that have presence and power in China. But this little company from Texas, for the last 3 years, has not been able to get Bao Steel and other Chinese companies to invest and work with them. After only a few weeks of working with this company, from our perspective, we are able now to get people to begin thinking about using this technology in China, and it'll have a much bigger impact than it can in the United States. So we can, I believe, replicate this kind of approach here in Taiwan. eTree and the private sector have created a lot of innovative companies with a lot of great solutions. But like Finland, like Israel, Taiwan is a small place with a small market, but with good technologies. So if we can bridge this gap, and it's easier for Taiwan because many of the people here can just go and speak the language and understand. So our role then would be to provide them the money, open some doors, because with the government backing, we can go to a coal-fired power plant and say, we like this Taiwan technology, can you help try this? And so that would be, I think, a way that we can replicate this kind of solution and work with the GCCA for other technologies from Belgium or Israel or around the world to bring these solutions to the worldwide market.
好，那我再请教有个问题啊，就是说，也是 Google 的问题啊，就是 Google 现在你是做 smart scooter 哈，那像 smart 到 smart city 啊，在中间的过程中，你怎么样从这个角度中，从这个一个 transportation 的工具跳成一个 city 的观念，怎么跳法？因为你简报里面说你这个将来是做 smart city。
So imagine a city full of both stationaries and portable energy, like batteries. Batteries is the most quickest way of generating energy. Doesn't matter what kind of energy you're trying to generate, solar, wind, or others. Battery can give on demand, take on demand. Once you have those batteries, co-located with your living circle, you can do amazing things when it comes to microgrids, when it comes to, when you think about a city, in the morning time when everybody gets up, take a shower, energy consumption goes up, and then there's person goes throughout the day, and then maybe in Taiwan people take an afternoon nap, it goes down a little bit, and it goes on, and then when you go to sleep, it goes down. That peak is going to only go up as we have more and more people move into cities, and that spike will go up in a more dramatic way. But the low will stay low. And so what we can do and what we can imagine doing in the future is be able to time shift that. Take up energy in a smart way, in a calculated way, in a way where, when there's a surplus of energy, take it up. And then give and supplement those spikes so that there doesn't need to be as much energy generated to satisfy the daytime usage. And that, to me, is the beginning of what a smart city should do, along with connectivity. Our users riding 1 million kilometers, there's an amazing amount of data that we collect from the riding patterns, from the way they use energy, when they swap batteries. Then we can actually see different things from traffic to energy consumption. How do we pattern it? How do we motivate people to take energy differently than what we take it today? Our system the back-end system is extremely smart. We also gamify our system so that our user actually would go and change their habits based on what we incentivize them to do. And that to me is how smart cities should operate, not just in the traditional way, but in ways that we think is cleaner, is more sustainable as we look at growth.
好，谢谢。那我们想请问的 Fred 啊，就是您曾经在 McKinsey 工作的时候，在台湾做过台湾的能源跟这个环保的20年计划、30年计划。那么经过了这20-30年来，你看到的跟过去的什么差别？那么对台湾有什么建议没有？
Well, when I was here 20 years ago, they were building the mass transit system, and there are so many motorcycles on the road. Today, you still have that, but it's not as crowded as it seemed, and it seems a lot cleaner. So I think mass transit has helped in that regard by a long shot. But there's also these great technologies, I think, coming out of Taiwan, and the GTPO, I think, was a very impressive chart. Was when these small companies get to work with the GTPO, there's a spike in their, I guess, revenue and the value creation. And I think it's this kind of work, the government top-down, helping to set policy to support these little companies. And then if we can link with the GCCA to around the world, we create even more network and more markets. I think that will have inflow into Taiwan, as well as Taiwan technologies going outward, and then we'll have made a real impact on climate change and the pollution that used to be here, but is less so. So I like coming back, especially eating the xiaochi, and so happy to be back.
那我想请教 Eugene 啊，刚才你提到就说这个很多大的pension fund不容易看到小公司的这些连续，需要台湾当地的这些 financial institution 来帮忙。那如果你降下来看的话，你怎么样去看台湾或者全世界各国中小企业？你要投资它的时候，哪些是吸引你的？是技术面吸引你多，还是这个 business model 吸引你多，还是其他方面吸引多？比如你刚才说 Google， 你看到哇，这是很不错的，你的感觉，我觉得你觉得看得不错，你用什么角度去切进去，会看到最好？
That's a great question. When making an investment, whether large or small, probably more important when it's small, the first thing that you look at is the person in charge. I like him, okay? He gave a great presentation. He has lots of vision, lots of energy. So, clearly, and I don't even need to see the rest of the company at this stage. It's that simple. So, for those of you who are leading companies in Taiwan and you think your company is too small, it isn't. Okay? If you have big vision, if you have the commitment, and you can communicate your excitement for the business that you have, then you've gotten about 90% of the way there. I think that's the most important thing.
我想我们陆先生今天应该很高兴。
I think it's great to get all the attention. I think I think it is true. It takes a spark. It takes a person that believes in it. But I think it's also the one thing I know that for example, we have two friends here from the financial side. But the one thing that I always tell my investor, I don't do it for the money. I do it because we want to make impact. We want to make changes. We want to make the world better. And then finance will come. If you have impact, then finance will come. Do the right thing, stand firm, chase after that vision, and you make the difference, and then money will come afterward.
Yeah, it's a crazy world. If you say you don't like somebody, then they want you to like them, okay? So he doesn't want money, but we want to throw money at him, okay? So here's life lesson number 1, be hard to get.
刚才他给我们非常好的这个一个教训啊，这个我们要做得很好啊，你不要去追钱，钱会来追你，就是这样。要做得成功，你只要有 mission 啊 ，mission oriented 的人呢，是永远在这世界上是受欢迎的。那因为这个可能是摩托车比较具象，大家都会比较容易问问题，因为这些都是摩托车的问题啊。That's why I'm in the center. 那这是一个问题啊。他说这个人很高，人差不多6尺长的一个人哈。那么那个摩托车很小，其实上看起来有点awkward哈。那又2个人挤在一起啊，这个有时候容易发生车祸哈。那有什么方法去改变这个形象，改变做法？然后呢，你这个摩托车常常发生车祸很多啊。台湾的车祸很多是摩托车发生的啊。那你现在解决这个是摩托车的这个能源问题、骑的车问题，有没有办法一起解决？这个要发生车祸以后，让这个人安全更好的问题，这怎么解决这个问题啊
So, for example, I think there are a couple of ways to answer that. First is, as you look at growing economy, the emerging economy, you can't stop people from adopting certain type of solution. Unfortunately, in the emerging world, the buying power is not as strong as, for example, the United States or Korea or Japan. People will consume what they need to consume in order to get from point A to point B. And right now, it is a choice of two-wheel vehicle. There is no other alternative until until everybody gets on skateboards. Scooter will still be the mode of transportation of choice of big cities. So our duty is to provide the safest and the most convenient way for them to transport themselves. If you look at Gogoro, we are actually very proud. Our short stopping distance is, if you look at both the European and the Taiwan requirement on braking distance, we're 53% shorter on 50 to 0 kilometer an hour. That in itself provides a lot more, I would say, a lot safer riding solution than others. So we have duties to do that, to make sure that we're socially responsible, and as engineers, as innovators, we provide the safest in that category. Eventually, of course, I think, ultimately it's about, adopting and people starting to adopt that mode of transportation as the main mode of transportation. Then other things can come in. It takes, a lot of people say, well, electric vehicle is so cheap to build, just a motor and a drive control and some batteries and a frame. Yes, it's true. You can build it very cheap, or you can build it very nice and high quality. It actually takes, on average, if you look at where people are electric vehicle today, pound for pound, electric vehicle costs about 50% more to run per kilometer than actually a gas vehicle today to do it well. It's no different than Gogoro. Gogoro is a very expensive product when we built it. And actually, we're selling the product, to just get the business going. It is starting, everybody knows as a startup, you have to sell it for less than what you make it for in order to get market adoption. That just needs to lift up. On a safety perspective, if for those of you might have actually seen it already, Gogoro has on the vehicle 30 sensors, and each battery has 25 sensors. So anything from a collision to a drop to just a sudden movement, our computer on the vehicle knows it. We can get to the point where if you drop the vehicle, I can call you and say, "Are you okay? Do you want us to come and help you? Are you in this corner by this corner?" Now, of course, there's a lot of privacy issues and others that we're working through to make sure that the consumers are opting into those options. But we can do that. That would make riding in a city much safer. Lamps, LED lights, they're all around the vehicle. The second, how many vehicles in Taipei has broken rear brake lights? Even the user and the rider doesn't even know about it. We know the second it goes out. So we can tell you and we can inform you, don't ride unsafe. Change that light bulb. It's safer for you and your family. It's part of being the revolution of smart transportation. Transportation is going to go through a massive change in the next decade, a massive change. And that change will make every vehicle more connected, more intelligent, more informed than any vehicle we have had in our lifetime when we grew up. That will make cities much safer. And that's what we're looking forward to in Gogoro.
好，那下个问题，请问 Fred 啊，就是有一位听众，他是想说，贵公司对有很多小公司啊，或者他开始发展的时候，他的产品得过很多的奖啊，那么但是它属于开始的阶段，还没有办法 commercialize。比如说像海浪发电等等这种微型公司啊。 这种类型的公司，贵公司对他们的投资或者这个兴趣高不高
？So as I showed in the presentation, clean tech companies, because they're industrial, have to go through two valleys of death. The first one being the technical. You have to prove your technology that it's viable. Then the second is the commercialization phase, which is where you can scale up the technology to be profitable. And so then you also have to have the business around it. Very few investors today are investing in clean tech because you have these two segments that you have to go through. Fortunately, for a company like a wind turbine innovator, like yesterday we heard about the vertical axis one, because it needs a lot of money, many investors aren't investing, but those are the kind of companies we would be interested in. And the reason we are contrary to others is because we can help co-develop this technology in China where other people are helping you to take that risk away from me as the investor. And so when you work with large corporate investors in China as well as the government, they have some funds that are more strategic in nature than just purely economic. It eventually has to be economic, but in that short period where you need to get a lot of funding to prove that it can be economical, someone has to help you take that risk. And right now, China is a good place to do that. And if we can leverage that, then we can help companies get a chance to prove they can be long-term economically viable.
好，那下个问题啊，因为各位问的很多问题哦，都有时候会针对我们的陆先生，因为他这个Google 大家很有兴趣，我把他稍问的 switch 一下，因为台上有4个人，所以大家平均分担一点钱。我下一个问题转一下，这个我想这个艾伟先生，我请教一下，就说你看到欧洲的绿能科技很进步，美国的绿能科技很进步，那你在台湾3年的观察，你觉得台湾哪些项目特别强项啊？你所看到的可以跟欧洲去合作或跟贵公司合作，那么在这一方面比较有希望的哪些产业你看到是最强的？
One of the strengths of Taiwan is their ambitious people. You have at least set certain goals, as I have mentioned, in the renewable area. That is positive, that is good. And also you have a lot of very advanced companies, big very successful companies, but also a lot of small startups. I don't know whether we can call you startup, similar companies like Gogoro. So that are for me advantages. Having a good base, let's say an ambitious nation, and having quite a lot of technologies and companies who are driving those technologies. Now, on the other side, I'm also seeing that we talk much more than we implement. And that might be one of, let's say, the reasons why things are not moving fast enough. I know, for example, countries, they take decisions like, okay, we have issues with the pollutions. Now we have, let's take the public transportation, let's take the buses or motorbikes, which are causing a lot of pollution. Now we take the decision, say we will introduce one by one electric vehicles. Start with electric motorbikes, but we have also electric buses. And in this term, I don't see an aggressive movement in Taiwan. There are companies developing, like you, motorbikes, but also electric vehicles. But they have tough time to convince the local governments to deploy electric buses, for example. Again, today, 60% of city transportations happens with buses, which are polluting the environment. And if we would change half of them, let's say over the next 5 years, you would reduce tons of CO2 emissions. So again, we have good technologies, we have good companies, but we have to also take decisions and drive to implement them. And that is something I wish that Taiwan is driving those implementations in a more aggressive way.
那刚好有个问题，顺便再接下去问一下 ，last one for you 啊。这个台湾刚好发生台风啊，我们6个风力发电机被吹倒掉。那像类似这样的问题啊，台湾的环境是不是适合这个风力发电机？
I think those who were breakdown were not from made in Europe. Sorry. Okay. No, in fact, so we give certain guarantees, and they are really, typhoon proven. Now, still, we have to consider. I mean, also, by the way, one of the advantages of offshore, Taiwan Strait is on the west side of Taiwan, right? West. And most of typhoons are coming from the east. True? So from the sea, yeah, from the ocean. And if they hit the island and pass through the island, in the Taiwan Straits, they are not as strong as they were when they hit the country. So therefore, the risk of typhoon, especially for offshore, I don't see so crucial. That's the one thing. Another thing, again, there have been measurements, there have been tests, and there have been also experiences regarding the high wind, and the machines which we intend to deploy will withstand all those, let's say, typhoons and heavy winds.
好，因为刚才司仪那边跟我讲，时间应该差不多到了哈。那我在这里做个很简单一个结束啊。我们非常感谢他们4位啊，今天非常精彩的报告啊。那么从这个风力发电机的方面，从这个车辆的方面，以及从金融方面给我们非常多的讲法。那我想大家一定会得到一个很好的结论啊。其实刚才他们四位差不多这个意思。未来这是一个很好的时代，一个大转变的时代。那么最成功不成功的原因，还都是在人呐，只要人对人很成功做得好，不管你做什么事情啊，你不但事情成功，你会得到的多助哈。那么从刚才这个我们有进他讲，他一看准，他说第一个还是人啊，那第二个就是你有了这些成果之后，你要让人家知道，所以我们很希望在座有很多金融机构或者其他 venture capital 等等，能够把台湾的这些已有的这些科技，或者是才开 start 的这些科技哦，能够把它串联起来，跟我们国际上很多的这些大型的基金呢， 那实际上从这个Eugene跟 Fred 他讲清楚，其实这个世界上钱很多，钱很多，只是这个钱怎么样从很多的钱一直下来传到台湾，能够进入到投资的阶段，中间有经过一段蛮长的路线。这个路线中间很重要一件事情，就是说我们有没有准备很好去 present 我们做了哪些事情，我们需要谁帮忙，那人家怎么来支持你啊？只要这个很好的 project 可以做到，都可以很成功。那么这是刚好一个最好的时代，就是说，因为联合国如果在今年的12月，就下个月通过之后呢，全世界要进行全面性的减碳。至于这个减碳的成果多少是现在还有待观察。不过呢，方向既然往这方向走，那就是一个绿色经济、绿色贸易的大时代的来临了。所以我最后的结论还是说，我们在这个关键的时刻开这个会议非常有意义。我们非常感谢他们4位非常精彩的报告，我们请大家以掌声谢谢他们，好吗？
好，谢谢简董事长及4位讲者。